In the Rambam, Hilchis Trumas Yud Beis Halacha Tesvav. Rambam says like this: Osur lakein litil truma ishar matonis shalei. It's also for the kain to take truma or the other matnas una ad sheyafrishu esam habaylim, until the baylim are mafresh. They separate them for the kain. Shenemar, as Pasuk says, he brings two psukim. Reishisam asher yitnu lahashem lechon nesatim. That the first thing, this is the truma that's given. It's given to the Eibishter. Lechon nesatim. Then I give it to the kain. Remember another pasuk over there in the Hemshech of the Parsha in Kerach, Asher Yorimu b'nei Yisrael laHashem nasati lecho. When the Yidden are meirim to the Eibishter, then I give it to you to the kain. Tash the Rambam ad sheyarimu heim. First there has to be the harama of the Yid. V'achar kach yizke behem. Only then can the kohen take it. That's the first halacha. A kohen is not allowed to take truma before the Yid was teirim, because we see from the psukim that only after Yid was teirim, then is given to the kohen. The Rambam is mamshich. V'leyitel eson achar shehurmu ela midas bailim. After the Yisrael was already made him the truma, still the kohen should only take midas bailim. Sharihim shel bailim litnon lechol kohen sheyirtzu. Because they belong, it's up to the bailim to give it to whatever kohen they want. Shenemar v'ishes kadoshav leyihiyu. That's a pasuk already earlier in Parshas Nosson, that a person has the rights in his kodesh who to give it to. V'im lo kon shalei midas bailim zocha behen. If the kohen took it without das bailim his zecher, she'ein lebailim behen elo tevas hanoya, v'tevas hanoya eino moment. The only ownership the bailim have is the tevas hanoya. In other words, the ability, the right to give it to who they want. And that's not called a monetary schus, and therefore, if the kohen took it without das bailim, so the kohen is zeichem. That's the halacha. Al kaponim l'chura very strongly medurik in this halacha that there's two dinim. There's two halachas legabe when a kohen may or may not take his truma. The first halacha is that before it was nitram, before the Yisrael was b'chlal mafrish the truma, then the Ram says you can't take it. Period. The Shavas Sarei. He says it wasn't given to him. It wasn't given to him yet. Also, and then there's another thing. After the Yid was already made him the truma, so here the Rambam writes that v'lo yitel esan achar shehurmu el midas bailim. Here he mentions you need das bailim because the bailim have a certain right of schus who to give it to. And Lagabi, this second chelik in halacha, he says, but if the kohen did take it, so it's taken because what did the bailim have? The bailim only had tevas hano. It says this second chelik, the last prat, that if the kohen does take it without das bailim, it's okay. That's Lagabi, the second chelik halacha. It was already hura. It was already huram and hufrash. Nevertheless, the kohen wasn't supposed to take it. If he took it, so say that the bailim only had tevas hano. Learn me dot zwei dinim. A din before the harama, then osur l'kohen litel. Period. It sounds like he has nothing there. After the harama, then lashon is not osur. The lashon is lo yitel eson, only with das bailim. I saw the Medayik over in the Rambam. In the first chelik, even das bailim wouldn't help. Because in the first, let's say the Yisrael wasn't made in yet his truma. The kohen says, "I want to take this," and the bailim say that doesn't help. Because in the first chelik of the halacha, there's no ability to take truma b'chlal. The kohen can't take it, even if the baal will be masking. The baal has to do harama. In part two of the halacha, after the baal did harama, now it's up to the bailim which kohen to give it. Lo yitel elohim das bailim. The shaila is what's talking the hagdora of the first chelik of the halacha, that before the harama's truma, a kohen can't take. Kohen can't take before the harama. After the harama, he also can't take. But then he can't take because the Yid has a right which kohen to give it to. It's a technical thing, and if he takes it, it's okay. But before the harama, he can't take b'chlal. So l'chur v'alman getrach that before the harama, there's no din truma. When is it truma? After you were made him. Before the harama's truma, there's no truma. If there's no truma, kohen can't take it. But I don't think that's lashon Rambam. The Rambam could have said, "Eine truma achi yitrem." The Rambam could have been talking about the chefsa of truma. As nishdas, I mean, truma starts from the harama. He says, "Osur lakoyin litin truma ishtar matonis shalei achi efrish reisam abaylim." The mashmois of osur litin truma shalei is mashma sepsiedo adin truma. Nevertheless, until harama, the kohen has no schus in it at all. and therefore it's usher for him to take. It's usher for him to take the truma before the harama. So what's the hagdara of that truma before the harama? Again, you can't sagen, trachten, it's not truma. There's no truma before harama. Then the Rambam should have said there's no din truma until harama. The Rambam doesn't say that. He says it's usher to take your truma before harama. I think it's very strong. The mashmos. I said it's not din truma, but it's usher to take it. And after the harama, you still shouldn't take it because then the Yisrael has the Tevis Hano who to give it to. So what's the hagdara of the first step when it's before the harama? So I want to explain. I don't know if it's a chidush or sort of a pashut, but I'd like to explain it with a small hagdam. And hagdam is what's taki the gather of truma before the harama. What's taki the hagdara sadvar? So everyone knows that before you're made in the truma, so the tvu is called tevel. And it's also it's a isur gomer, it's a chiv misa to eat the truma. What is the hagdara of isur tevel? It's done then the achreinim bringen kama mekemes and the Rebbe's Messiah to it and the sichas kama mekemes. The advice there is it's a big machlekes rishonim. What is the hagdara of the isur of tevel? There's a Rashi in Yevomis daf Pevov. Rashi says a word. Rashi zogt a word matruma teveles shekol zman sheloi hufresha. Chayovin misa al achilose shel tevel. Do misa ksiv be. In Rashi state al kaponim azay teach the welt and then Rashi, and they bring another Rashi from Sanhedrin. And Rashi state that you know why tevel is asur because there's truma mixed into the tvua. Yes, the tvua has a chiyuv to bring truma from it. So b'meila there's truma mixed into this tvua into my kri of truma of tvua. There's some truma. And truma is the chasur. So the isur tevel is because of the truma that's mixed into the tvua. After I merim, I raise up, remove the truma from my tvua, then the tvua becomes mutter because I took out the chilek truma. As I state in dem Rashi. When I say learning andere, the Rabbi Spengels meidich in it, I'll tell you soon. And as when the Reise, the Rosh talks about it. It's brought in Encyclopedia Talmudis. Shitas Rashi is that the gather of Yisur Tevel is machmas hachela katruma shem urev bei. Even the Encyclopedia Talmudis even brings that there's some say that the shadish of the word Tevel is iruv, that there's truma mixed into it. So b'meile das also. That's Shitas Rashi. Teisvis Dortmund in Yevomis fragt after Rashi. He says, Kosheleri. He says, imitam zeh leilitzer tevel lekein kivon de truma shariyale. Gewaldige kash. If the whole reason why tevel is also is because there's the chiluk of truma that's mixed into it, then a kohen should be allowed to eat tevel because a kohen can eat truma. And so didn't push him the Raisa that a kohen is also betevel. Understand? If the real only reason why tevel is usher is because there's some truma inside, a kohen make the chesed truma. Zol make an essen tevel. Uns doch nicht azeh. And mele sagt that's not emes. Tevel is usher because tevel is usher. It's an iser atzmi. Tevel is not usher because there's a chiluk of truma that's mixed into it. Then a kohen would be mutzei tevel. Tevel is usher because tevel is usher. Because Abisha said as long as trumas weren't taken, this tvu is all usher. Das is machlekes. This is Rashi and Teisvis. Is tevel also as an isur atzmi of tevel, or is tevel also because of the chilek katruma hamu'urev be? So, like I told you, Rabbi Svengel is meidich in the singing as from the Reise Klal Beis, and he brings a raya. He says that Shitas Rambam is like Rashi. The Rambam holds like Rashi that the isur of tevel is the chilek katruma hamu'urev be, and he brings the Rambam in Macholas Asuris Perik Yud Aloch Yutes. The Rambam says like this: Tevel ketzat koleicha shuchayev lahafrish mimenu truma meiseres. Anything that you have to take from a tumas or ma'aser before your mafresh is tevel. He brings the pasuk. You can't do a minik chulin because the kadoshim weren't taken yet. Then he says, you already took Trumagdel and Trumas Meiser. But you didn't take the other Meisers. Then, what does the Rambam say? How does the Beis Vengel touch the Rambam? If you're eating tevel that still has the trumas and trumas meiser in it, trumas and trumas meiser have a chiv misa, smell is a chiv misa on the tevel. But if you took the truma and the trumas meiser out, now there's just it's tevel because you didn't take meiser levi, meiser for Levi, meiser roni. But there's no trumas meiser here, so it's not a chiv misa. And now the Werk is like the base of angle, as for Rambam is clear as they're going to be Rashi, that the gather of tevel is that there's truma inside of it. The Isra of tevel is because you're eating the truma that's mixed into it, and that's why if it's truma gdela and trumas meiser mixed inside of it, which those things have a chiv misa if you eat it, so it's a chiv misa if you eat the tevel. If you already took truma gdela, trumas meiser, it's only mixed in other meisers. Those meisers don't have a chiv misa, so there's no chiv misa on tevel. Upon him, that's what Rabbi Svengel says. That the Rambam holds like Rashi. That the gather of Yisur Tevel is because the chelik of the trumas and the trumas meiser that's still mixed into the two. The kasha of Teisvis, I am the Rambam saying Rashi. Teisvis asks, if you'll tell me, like Rashi says, and like the Svengel says, the Rambam says, that the Yisur of Tevel is because the chelik of truma that's mixed into it. So why is a kohen not allowed to eat Tevel? A kohen make the ches and truma, so why can't he eat Tevel? That's Teisvis' kasha. Sagt the base of Engel and andere sagen, also ich dachte sich. Chat is like this. Just like a korban. You have a korban, the whole korban is also to the Eibishter. And then after you shecht it and you're zedek the dam, then the chelik that becomes mutter for the kohen, it becomes mutter the kohen. Why wasn't it mutter beforehand? Beforehand the behemoth was kodesh to the Eibishter. Now that it was mikriv and now you makriv and maktir, the materium, so now the kohen is mishulchan kovea kozochu. The Eibishter says, yes, kannst das nachher. Like the Zobazach is trumas. Lechatchila, the trumas is the Eibishter's. And then a kohen, after the yid is meirim the truma from his tevua, the Eibishter gave a chelik of the truma. Then the Eibishter gave the truma to the kohen. That's madnas kun. That's how you say, Bemis, that you say that Rebbe brings in the Sichas Kama Mekemas, that the gather of Trumas or Meiseris Magnas Kuna is Mishulchan Goveya Kazochu. Bemis, it says it in today's Rambam also, and Hemshech Halachas Rambam says it clear. The Rambam says the Lashon over here, Vudas, Shal Shulchan HaMokim in Halacha Yutas, Shal Shulchan HaMokim Mechlin, Al Shulchanihim Shesim, Umatonis Elu Lashemhim, Vahu Baruchu Zikol Lahem, Shnebe Vanino Sati Lachas Mishmaras Trumas. Nachmal, the Rebbe brings it in the Sichas Kama poem. This Rambam, that the gather of Matnas Kuna is as a matone from the Eibishten zum Kei. Eiba zeh davon verstehen as Milachatchila, the Eibishter has it. The truma is the when they grew from the ground is the Eibishter's truma, and that truma is taken mixed into the whole kiri of tevua, and it's also to eat because it's truma from the Eibishter. The Isra Achila is not because it belongs to a kohen. The Isra Achila belongs to the Eibishter. No, when a yid is meirim. The chelik hat truma from his tevua und geht das weg zum Eibishter. Jetzt nimmt der Eibishter und geht das ab zum Kohen. So now it became mutter lachila to the Kohen because now the Eibishter gave it to the Kohen. Kolzman, the Yid didn't do his harama. The Eibishter didn't give it to the Kohen yet. If the Eibishter didn't give it to the Kohen, it's also for the Kohen just like for the Yisrael. In other words, the Yisrael was with after verstehen is that there is really 3 steps. When the tvua grows, the reishis hatvua belongs to the Eibishter, and that's the isur of truma, and that's also for everyone, for Yisrael and a kohen, but belongs to the Eibishter. A yid has a mitzvah lahorim to take the chelik for the Eibishter and pick it up and give it to the Eibishter. That's step 2. Now the Eibishter takes it. Once it was given to the Eibishter gives it to the kohen, and now it becomes mutter for the kohen. Until then, it was also to the kohen because it belonged to the Eibishter. But on the other hand, it was also for the Yisrael and also for everyone because it was truma. In other words, the first step of truma is that it belongs to the Eibishter, but Mela is also to Allah. The Nochas Yisrael does meirim. Yes, keep this Eibishter up some kohen, and now the kohen can eat it. Mishulchan Govei. Coming back to the Rambam that we started with, the Rambam is a beautiful pshat in the Rambam. The Rambam starts off and says in Halachat Tezvov, like we read, also lekein little truma shama tonis asher frishes ma bailim. This says, it's already truma before the bailim was mafresh. But then it had no shaykhs to the kohen. Then it was kodesh. The Eibishter didn't yet give it to the kohen. Thus bring the Rambam. Shenemer rishisam asher yitnu laHashem l'chon nisati. After the yid gives it away to the Eibishter, then l'chon nisati. V'nemar asher yorimu b'nei Yisrael laHashem nosati l'cho. Ad sheyarimu heim It was the Eibishter's always. And that's why it was also for the Kain and for the Yisrael. It's already Trumek and the Kain Nemen. Nay, the Eibishter didn't give it to you yet. When is the Eibishter going to give it to you? After they're made. And even after they were made, so now it was given away to the Eibishter. So the Eibishter already gave it to the Kayanim. So now Kayan Megdach Yenem is doch Zainer. MS is Zainer. But the Yisrael still retains a right of which Kohen to give it to. That's the Tevas Hanochele. And Mele Lo Yitel, the Kohen shouldn't take it without Das Bailu. But if he did, and Sataki Genumen. Mashenken in the first chelik, let's say there would be Das Bailu, the Kohen should take it. Aber der Eibishter hat es nicht gegeben. Was noch nicht gewinnt, der Haramas Trum. Also ich dachte sich, der Pshat, and der Stickel Haloch in Rambam. I just want to be Messiah Mesef. Stop that. This gives us a little Pesach to another Indian also, which is the Rambam Shita Lagabi, the mitzvah of Nesina. The Rambam is main of one mitzvah, Hafroshas Truma. And then after you're mafresh, after up giving some kain. But the Rambam doesn't look at it as two mitzvahs, Hafrosha and Nesina. The Ramban and his Asogis and Sefer Mitzvahs from the Shoroshin, the Ramban says there's two mitzvahs. There's Hafroshas Truma and Nesina Lakei. On the Rambam helped me, that's the ein mitzvah, and the Rambam brings Rayis, the Megillah has the answers. I'm not going to the Sugi B'chlal, but one could late, wie man versteht, wie der Rambam stellt weg der Indian, the way we're understanding it over here. That's in this one mitzvah. The mitzvah is that a Yid is mafresh his truma, that's there in his tvuah to the Eibishter. And then the Eibishter gives us up some kayan. So it's not two mitzvahs. There's not two mitzvahs on the Yisrael. I the Yisrael, therefore, giving some kain. That's a technicality. He has the right which kain to give it to. But nicht das der mitzvah, das der Eibishter's chil. Sein mitzvah ist mafresh, medium sein zum Eibishter. Und der Eibishter gibt es zum kain, Mishulchan Gewehr.